Hi, I'm Billy Jenkins, and I just want to talk to you a little bit about what we can do in online classes to increase student engagement, especially in what I do as far as I call a wrap it up session. So we all know that engagement probably is the foundation of online learning. If students are not engaged, then they're not going to learn anything. So I, tried to find some research about what student engagement is, and I think that it more involves exciting students to get them to learn in your online class. It has to attend to the degree of attention, curiosity, interest that they have in what you are presenting online. Now, students who are encouraged exhibit three characteristics in online classes, and one, they're attracted to the work; two, they persist in their work even though they might come across some challenges; and three, they take some kind of visible delight in accomplishing their work. So why do we need to engage students? Mainly it's because of the benefits that they receive. Learning happens when students are inquisitive and when they're interested or inspired, and learning tends to suffer when the students are bored or disengaged. And students who are actively engaged in an online class, it has a positive impact on their understanding of what you're trying to teach them. It also increases the motivation. They get more attentive, they're more active in your online class, and they get more involved in the learning process. And I just can't help but think that students that are engaged in the online class, if they're engaged throughout the online class, that the course completion rates and retention rates will go up as well. But there are some challenges that we come across in the online classroom because we have lack of nonverbal cues. We can't directly observe our student behavior. We can't see if they're disengaged or if they're frustrated or if they lack the enthusiasm. And we can't evaluate their motivation levels as well. And in online classes, it's hard for us to express or share our emotions easily because it's an online class. The anonymous feeling in an online class makes it easier for the students to withdraw from your class, and it makes them easier to participate at a minimum and sometimes just completely disappear. We all have those students that might do that as well. So how do we encourage student engagement? Well, first of all, we have to motivate the students. We have to look and say, we have to provide specific feedback beyond this is right or this is wrong. Instead of saying, good job on your presentation, but I think you're going to have to redo it, we can say, your presentation went well. There are a few things to note to make your presentation even better the next time that you do it. I think you could have stopped after slide 6, or I think you could have made the points graphically on slide 4. And the students will take that information and work on that. So what do I do in my online classroom to motivate the students? First of all, I have to lay out my classroom modules in modules so that the students, it's easier for them to navigate through the class. This is an example of a slide shot from my philosophy online class. I have my assignments there, and they are in weekly modules. And if you'll notice, every week throughout the semester is listed there. So when they click on one of those links, one of the, this pops up, and this is the August 3rd through 9th link that I just pointed out. I have, what I've got there is I've got the PowerPoint embedded. I have the discussion forum that they have to answer. I have the quiz, and I have videos that the students can watch. In addition to laying it out and making sure that it's easy for them to understand and navigate through, I have discussion boards, and that increases student engagements a lot. Here's an example of a discussion board, my discussion board in my philosophy classroom. I have discussions for every chapter, and the students have to go on and answer the discussion question and reply to at least one other student in the class about their feelings toward what we've studied. And it works out very well. Very well. So in addition to keeping them engaged, we do have to motivate them. We have to offer encouragement, praise, and we have to offer positive reinforcement. That can be things like saying, that was a nice job explaining what you explained in the discussion board, or I liked how you used deductive reasoning in answering that question. I've even gone as far as saying to a student, you know, your discussion post really made me think about what I thought about this issue, and you know, especially in philosophy, because we talk about you know, ethical issues. But you know, just saying things like that to students keeps them motivated, keeps them engaged, and keeps them continuing in your course. Now, the last thing that I want to share with you is what I do with students in motivating students. I call it wrapping it up. And what I do is I provide opportunities for the students to connect with other students and to connect with me. And I do this by wrapping up the weekly discussions and the weekly topics and objectives and things that I wanted to learn. And I do that in the announcements section of the online Blackboard. What I do in the announcements page is that I will type a paragraph or two about what we have learned, you know, during the week, and this helps them see, you know, the major concepts that I think that are important during the week's summation. And it also, in addition, it gives them something else to study and to look and say, okay, these were the major things that he thought was important. These, you know, and compare them and contrast them to what, you know, they thought was important. But one of the main things that I do in motivating students is that I will list a student in the announcements. I won't list them specifically, but I will say, I had, you know, 3 students say that blah blah this, and that really made us think, and a lot of you on your discussion board you know, replied to that. And so those 3 students, they're thinking, oh, that's me that he's talking about. So the weekly wrap-up actually does sort of tie everything together, and it points out all those major concepts that we covered during that week. So, you know, this is an example of a weekly wrap-up announcement that I do. And some things that's very interesting in this is that I can go ahead and make the announcements, and I can set in my announcements in Blackboard when I want those announcements to go out, and I keep them from semester to semester. And the only thing that I change in there is that I might say, you know, we got into a little bit of disagreement about this and kind of thing, but I make it more specific to the class. But in all, the concepts that I want them to learn are included in that weekly wrap-up. So if you can notice here that I've got the capital punishment wrap-up and abortion and euthanasia wrap-up, because abortion euthanasia, they have sort of the same concepts. But I always try to say something positive in my announcements, and you know, I say, you know, there were some great arguments in your discussions, keep up the good work, and so that makes students think, you know that I am reading their discussion questions. And also in their discussion questions, when they post a discussion question, I'll post a reply saying, you know, I've never thought about it this way, or these are some great points that you made. I hope that everyone in the class reads this kind of thing. So, you know, just motivating students and keeping them engaged, you know, will increase those retention rates and help those students in our online classes. So what is actually the purpose of weekly wrap-ups? Well, first of all, it lets the students see which concepts were most important to you as the instructor. It gives the students extra study material for the quizzes and or tests, or you know, things that they might want to study for. And it gives closure to this week's learning and prepares them to go on to the next concept that we're going to learn the next week in the next module. Weekly wrap-ups, they can motivate students through the language that we use in them. So those weekly wrap-ups, I've had students, you know, send me messages on Blackboard saying, I really enjoy the weekly wrap-ups. I think that they are important in what we're learning, because it lets us see what you think is important, and it lets us apply what you think about the topic and some of the important concepts. It helps it apply to what we've done throughout the entire week. So weekly wrap-ups, they can motivate just by the language that we use in them. So to increase student engagement, I think one of the main things that we need to do in an online class is to motivate them with positive language, and we need to, you know, wrap up what we think that we are teaching during the week, those objectives and those concepts that we really want them to get a grasp on. Thank you for visiting my student engagement Wrap It Up. I hope that this helps in your online design of your classroom. Thank you.